Hey Guardians, you're here for a brand new Destiny 2 video. Today we're going to check out the Stasis Hunter subclass. I got a pretty awesome build for you guys today, as you guys can already see with the gameplay going on in the background. This is a very powerful build for regular PVE activities as well as a little bit of end game. So if you guys do end up enjoying today's video, please drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Be sure to check out my other build videos. There's a playlist that you can find in the link of the description. And let's get started in the video. And as always with our build videos, the first thing that we take a look at is the subclass tree in itself. Be sure to follow along with me, or you can click the dim link in the description where you guys go apply this build to your loadouts, and then you guys can go from there. But the first thing that we're going to look at is the class ability. I am using the Gambler's Dodge because I want to be able to recharge my melee as soon as I dodge, so that I can toss more and more melee. So you can have this on, or you can have Marksman Dodge on. It's entirely up to you, but I do recommend having Gambler's Dodge. Very helpful. Now moving on to our movement ability, I am using triple jump. I always say this in every single one of my build videos. Triple jump is so good for PvE. If you want to play PvP and do some other stuff, you could probably use maybe strafe jump or high jump, but I do recommend using triple jump just because it's easier and it's more, I guess, better. And then we have our stasis melee right here. This is the only stasis melee on the hunters. You guys know how annoying this melee was back when it first came out back in 2019. But yeah, this melee is the only one, so we'll just move on to the grenades next. So here we are on the Stasis grenade, and you guys want to have on the Dustfield grenade. This grenade is absolutely fantastic. It is so good. There's the aspect enhances the grenade, it just turns this into like an absolute beast. And we're gonna move on to the aspects right now. So moving on to our first aspect, we have the Touch of Winter. A Dustfield grenade increases the slow field size, so it makes the bubble a little bit more bigger, and it creates a small stasis crystal on the middle, which you can destroy. And when we destroy those crystals, it creates a big like burst. If there's any enemies near inside of it or around it, it creates a big stasis burst, and it will completely freeze and shatter them, and it'll just be very visually pleasing. And then moving on to our second stasis aspect, we have the Grim Harvest. Wherever defeating slowed or frozen combatants, we're going to create a stasis shard, and when this stasis shard is picked up by either us or our allies, it gives us melee energy. Hence we could toss some more melees and slow some more stuff, because guess what, once they're slowed, Grim Harvest is going to start proccing, and you're going to create more stasis shards, hence throw more melees. And it just synergizes super well, and it's just very good. And we're going to move on to the fragments now. So moving on to the first fragment, here we have the Whisper of Chains, where if you are near a frozen target or a friendly stasis crystal, you take reduced damage from targets. Essentially, this is our way of survivability in terms of like in end game content. You definitely want to have this on, at least if you're going to be freezing targets a lot, so that you could at least survive, because we don't really have a way to survive as much on stasis, but with this right here, we have a way to take just reduced damage in general. So be sure to have this on. And let's move on to the next one. Here we are on the next one right here, where we gain grenade energy each time we take damage from targets. This is super good, so we can toss some more slow field grenades. And you guys will see once we get a little bit later into the video on how this is going to be super helpful for this build essentially. And then here we are on the third fragment, which is the Whisper of Shards, where if you shatter a stasis crystal, temporarily boosts your grenade recharge rate. And you shatter more, it increases the duration, or refreshes it, I should say. And this is super good, because when we create a ton of stasis crystals and we break them, we're gonna be getting some more grenade energy. It's gonna go very quick. And if you have high discipline, I recommend at least somewhere around 70, 80, 90, or if you have 100, that's even better. Compared with this right here, you will be getting your grenade back quite a ton. Hence, just everything just synergizes so well and is so good. For our fourth fragment, we have the Whisper of Bonds. You guys can see on what this does right here. Essentially, defeating frozen targets generates an orb of power. This is not something that you could really abuse, where essentially if you, I'll just keep freezing targets and I'll just keep generating orbs of power over and over. It doesn't work like that. Essentially, once you do it the first time, there is a cooldown. I believe it's like 3 seconds until when you could get this to pop up again, so you could create some more orbs. But be sure to have this on. It does minus your discipline, but like I said, it's entirely fine if, as long as you have at least 70, 80, 90 around that ballpark for your discipline, and you will be fine to be able to use this fragment in itself. And then for our last fragment, we have the Whisper of Fissures. Increases the damage and size burst of the stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or when you defeat a frozen target. So now that we're done talking about the subclass tree in itself, let's take a look at some of the armor mods as well as the artifact mods, and there isn't really much artifact mods for Stasis in general. I heard that next season there might be Stasis focus season. If that does happen and you are watching this build for the hunters and whatever Stasis mods that we get, you're gonna be in for a treat. But essentially, I would recommend having at least the monochromatic maestro. This is a super good artifact perk that is pretty much essential on all of the subclass builds for all three classes out there. This is just free damage for essentially using your abilities and shooting guns, as long as you are using guns that match your subclass, as well as, you know, just that in general. You get a free 10% bonus damage for 5 seconds, and you could continue to proc it as long as you have the little synergy going on, and it's super helpful. So at least get this one. Everything else doesn't really matter. So let's move on to the armor mods and see exactly what we have going on. So here we are on my helmet. The first thing I have on is a mobility mod. Since we're playing hunters, you always want to have mobility so you can be able to dodge a lot more. And then here we have special ammo finder, where we increase the drop chance of special ammo on kill. This is not really necessary like that. I just had this on just because, you know, why not? And more ammo is better than nothing. But if you do want to maybe switch it up, maybe you could throw on like another harmonic siphon. But I just have this on just because, why not? And yeah, and here we have harmonic siphon. Since we're going to use a stasis weapon, rapid stasis final blows creates an orbs of power, which is pretty good. We love orbs of power because they help reduce some of our abilities so that we could keep going on more and keep the momentum. And then for the final one, I have heavy ammo finder, where it increases the drop chance of heavy ammo on kill. Super helpful, especially if you're using an exotic weapon. It helps you find heavy potentially a lot more quicker compared to using a legendary weapon and trying to get heavy ammo to drop for you. And then for the gauntlets, I'm using the renewal grasp. This is very essential for this build. You guys can see with the description, this makes that dust field grenade, it makes it entirely more bigger than the aspect. It reduces damage for your allies that are inside of the field, and the enemies that are inside of it they deal reduced damage, sorry. And this is just super good, especially if you're using a grenade type build, discipline, 100 discipline build. You could have this going a lot. You could throw more grenades, a lot more grenades. We love grenades in Destiny 2, man. They're the best thing ever. And essentially, this is what we're going for. But I am using a discipline mod. I have bolstering detonation, where it grants me class ability energy when I damage targets with a grenade. Since enemies are going to be inside of my dust field grenade, I'm going to be getting class ability energy, and it synergizes well. In case I run out of my melee, I could dodge more and more, throw that melee, and guess what? That melee is going to generate orbs of power, because we have fastball here that increases our grenade throw distance, and we have heavy-handed right here, which our powered melee final blows creates orbs of power. So here, moving on to the chest arm, I have a mobility mod on here. I'm using concussive dampener. I hate splash damage. So annoying in this game. Be sure to have concussive dampener on. And then I have melee damage resistance, because if I'm doing, like, let's say an end game content, I don't want to get one shot meleeed up close, even though I'm pretty sure I would either way, but still it helps to have at least 2 damage resistant mods on. And then I have harmonic resistance, where I reduce incoming stasis damage for combatants. Not really necessary, but I just have this on just because, why not? And then moving on to my boots, I have on a mobility mod as well for this, and I'm using stasis weapon surge, since I'm going to be using a stasis weapon. And then moving on, we have the innervation leg armor mod, where I reduce my grenade cooldown each time I pick up an orb of power. You guys already seen previously, we're already creating orbs of power by doing other stuff, and we're going to be reducing our grenade cooldown each time we do pick up orbs of power, hence throw more grenades and do more. That's what we want. And then right here, I'm using elemental charge, where essentially if I pick up a stasis shard, it's going to give me a chance to get a armor charge. And then moving on to my cloak, I have mobility mod right here. I'm using mobility forge as well. This is a artifice armor. And then I'm using bomber, where it reduces my grenade cooldown when I use my class ability. We're reducing a lot of cooldowns so that we can keep momentum. Here I'm using time dilation, where our decaying armor charge has a longer duration. I believe it increases it by maybe 6 or 7 seconds. I'm not entirely sure. And then right here, I have powerful attraction, where the orbs of power I create, as soon as I activate my class ability, it's all going to come to me. Now here we are on the weapons, and I do recommend, if you want the best and the most out of this build, use this bow right here, the verglas curve. And essentially this bow is so good when compared with this build. It keeps a lot of things going, and just it's so visually pleasing that I can't really say anything else about it. The exotic perk fires a bunch of stasis arrows. I believe you can hold up to 5, and direct hits with the stasis arrow freezes combatants, and when they do get frozen, guess what? Once you defeat a frozen target, you're gonna create stasis shards, and it just pairs super well with what we have going on for here. And then right here I have the forbearance for my secondary. This is just personal preference, but I love using this because ambitious assassin chain reaction super good. I definitely recommend everyone to at least get this forbearance if you don't have it. It comes from the Valve Disciple raid. And then right here I'm using the Apex Predator reconstruction bait and switch. Absolutely a beast of a rocket launcher for that. Now this build in itself works for endgame PVE content. You just have to switch up some of the weapons depending on what champions that there could be, but essentially right now this is for mostly lower tier PVE content like strike, as well as a little bit more other activities. You could definitely use this in Gambit for sure, but like I said, for like let's say a Grandmaster, you could definitely switch this up. Just swap your weapons depending on the champions that you see in the active modifiers. And with that said and done out of the way, if you guys did enjoy today's video, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We upload some Destiny build videos here and there. I got some more stuff coming out for you guys. We're going to talk about some other topics for Destiny 2, as well as take a look at some guns that I think you guys should have in your inventory that I personally like using a lot. That way you guys could be kept up to date on what's pretty good in Destiny 2 and what you can use to become the ultimate guardian in the Destiny 2 universe. Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you guys in my next Destiny 2 video. And take care. Peace.